What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 46 of C4SVillains. I am your host JB and I am here as always with the Council of Villains, my boys Vash and Steve, and returning guests, honorary council member Chris Conkling. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
How's it going, man? 3 weeks in a row. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me back on.
Appreciate
Is
you,
he
man.
returning, or is he like being the same thing that happened to Steve and Abe, that you slowly having them every single week and then
if
just join the
only.
team?
If only.
And then just Chris be like, next week on, oh wait, not returning guest, a more new member of the C4SVillains team.
We'll see what happens. I feel like I'm like the Batman of the Villains
Right.
podcast. Where like, you guys can be the Justice League. Call me up when you need me, but like I don't work with other people. So
Nice reference. You know, I fuck with that. I understand that. You know,
I'm okay
Mark,
with that.
Lily,
get that
Brian, thank
reference.
you guys so much for joining us.
What up, Brian? Oh,
but
everybody.
it's just great to be here, Brian. Welcome. You know, you are my favorite papaholic. Just say, you're my favorite.
Wow.
Get you out there.
The shade.
oh,
Kill him, Chris.
you know what? I'm out of here. Have a nice night, guys.
Screw you guys. I'm
But,
going.
I'm good.
honestly, it's just nice to be here with the team, with the Council of Villains, to talk about Hawkeye, because you know it's New York, it's time for the holidays. It's like the way they just release your schedule is so perfect, because they literally, I feel like it would have been much perfect if they released it on a Friday, like just have those episodes literally be released on the Christmas Eve. That would have been amazing, but you know, time constraint. I guess just Wednesdays it works better for them.
Yeah, I don't know if ratings would have been as good either if it came out on Christmas Eve. I don't know how many people would have watched it day up.
That
you know?
is very
I
true.
think it was brilliant to do Wednesdays because Spider-Man came out on a Thursday. You got
It
to
was
see
perfect.
the Kingpin reveal and then Spider-Man. So
Are we allowed to openly talk about Spider-Man No Way Home at this point? You guys already did your spoiler video. So
yeah,
I
but
mean,
we gotta respect others that have
Yeah,
not seen the
I don't
film
wanna
or don't
talk
have the
spoilers.
all I'll
time.
say is the synergy within Marvel Studios has never been stronger than it was last week. That's all I'll say.
They're so
Synergy.
good right now. Oh, also we talked about the timelines yesterday. I didn't mention this. Remember Yelena says, "I can't wait to see the remodel of the Statue of Liberty."
Mhm.
Right.
And Spider-Man, they were still remodeling.
They were.
Aha, JB and Bash. Aha. But go ahead.
That could still mean that it's been taking them a year, months to get
Exactly.
this new
So,
remodel
I think
version.
me
So
and
it's
you were
just
on the same
so
page.
like it's still hard to say where it falls on time, because I was still trying to figure out my research throughout today of where this exactly falls on timeline. I feel like from what I found out, or I'm gonna say that Hawkeye finale falls at the finale of No Way Home. From what I have researched, it literally falls on the
Yeah.
same month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they both take place in December, but Hawkeye starts, 6 days before Christmas Day,
Right.
Yeah.
and No Way Home ends in December, but not.
It's just the
not
tree's still
6
up.
days.
It's
Exactly.
just the tree still up.
That's a
Oh.
great
so-
indicator because Rockefeller Center's still intact at
Right.
the end. Well, at some point in that movie.
Well, you know, it was in the trailers. It was in the trailers for weeks that they was fighting in Rockefeller. So shit happens. When you have heroes
right.
fighting,
Of
things
course.
fall down, you know, timber, you know, stuff be falling down.
Good save,
Yeah,
Ash.
let's not.
You know, because I'm not like Steve that last week said, you know,
I mean,
Matt Murdock out here.
Steve didn't. Oh my God. Anyways, guys.
What did you just do?
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us for our
Villain.
Hawkeye episode 6 finale spoilers discussion. I didn't have any news that I wanted to bring up in this episode. I wanted to spend the entire time just diving into this really, really good episode that's apparently pretty divisive among people on social media and critics and stuff like that. I was reading a couple of things where people thought this was the weakest episode. We're going to get into what happens with Kingpin at the end of the episode. Some people thought it was cheap. They thought it was a cheap like TV trope. I was like, whoa, it's almost like we saw two completely different things here.
Yeah.
So careful with spoilers for anybody that have not seen the Hawkeye finale season 1, maybe season 2, who knows. So careful spoilers because we're about to start spoiling out.
I think
Kingpin is dead.
My co-host Brian Dupre should probably be careful for spoilers. I don't know how far he's into the season, but I know he's in the chat right now. So
into Hawkeye?
Yeah, he said. He said he's behind because he can't. He said they can't stay for too long. So because he said that he's not caught up yet. So he's probably only in episode 3, 4, but he definitely has not seen the finale yet. So he definitely should have left already before.
Brian, this episode was so good, man. Like I can't wait for you to see it. Can't wait to hear your thoughts.
I can do this all day.
Nah, yo, I did a text to Chris. I was so annoyed at that postcard. I was like, "Ooh, what are we gonna see?" And then they literally continue showing that whole fucking song of Broadway.
Beautiful.
I was
Dude,
hella mad. I literally was mad, like Leo, like you raggedy ass bitches. I'm sorry, I'm cursing so much right now, but like, yeah, got me so fucking tired. I was like,
I told
damn.
Chris I appreciated the production value. I was like, you know
Don't you
what?
like
This is
musicals?
the choreography is great.
You
the
guys didn't
singing's
seem
good.
so hot on it in episode 1.
Because
So
I'm
as
not a
soon as I
musical
saw-
person.
No, like
Understandable.
great production, great for the actors that they gotta play Thor, Cap in like in a Broadway skin and everything like that. But it was beautiful. But it's just not my cup of tea. Like I love La La Land, The Greatest Showman, High School Musical, stuff like I grew up with and everything, and actual musical. This is
Haven't
just so
seen
too
any of
cringy.
those.
You La La Land? You have not seen La La Land?
I don't like movies that
Man
have
just
a
does not
bunch of
like
singing, bro.
musicals.
I don't. I just don't enjoy them. I mean, I will for cinema, but one day.
And how about Hamilton?
Did you
The
have
one
a
Disney
musical
Plus?
month?
Negative.
March.
I am
so
not
fucking
even
great.
remotely interested.
Triple M.
my God, so
March
good.
musical month. March music or May musical month. One or the other.
All right.
Triple M.
Make it happen.
Make whichever one you want to do, March or May.
Yes, Rob.
Right.
Trash post credits. Like it's
Wow, Rob. Wow.
I sat there and
soon
watched the whole
as
thing.
We
I was
got
like,
the ribbon that said, what was it, like Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays from
Yeah.
Marvel Studios, and then it unwrapped, and the first thing we saw was the Rogers the Musical poster. Literally my first thought when I was watching it this morning was, oh, the Villains crew is not going to like this.
and Chris
I
sent me
don't
that,
mind it.
and I was like, yeah, I'm one of them. I didn't like it. Like,
But I'm glad
I
that you
gotta
guys
respect-
dug it, other than Vash.
I enjoyed it.
like, yes, I work in production. I respect those people, the crew and everything behind the scenes and in front of the camera and everything. But it just wasn't my cup of tea. Like, if I was part of the production and crew, I would find a way to leave the theater. Like, nah, I'm good, guys. Get a film. I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee. I'm gonna go to the food truck, grab something to eat. But I'm like, this ain't my cup of tea. I'm good. Pass.
Sure, we'll get into it a little bit later, but Kingpin in the comics is inhumanly strong and durable. Yeah, him surviving that, not surprised at all. Like him being
Spider-Man
able
to
to
Spider-Verse.
literally rip a door
That's
off
your
of a
blueprint,
car,
guys.
not surprised at all. Like that's straight up Kingpin from the comics. Like it was awesome. But we'll get into it. So
And this is
speaking
Marvel
of
money.
Speaking of Kingpin, so the episode begins, and I didn't even think we would get Kingpin this early.
Right.
But right away, we get Kingpin showing up at the beginning of this episode, and he has this meeting with Eleanor, and this is where we get the big reveal of everything that's been going on with Eleanor. We learn that pretty much her husband left back a ton of debt that she had to pay back to the Kingpin. So she's been spending all of these years working for the Kingpin, just trying to pay back this debt. But Kingpin also says, well, she says that she already paid back that money tenfold and business has been good. So I kind of want to ask you guys, like, do you think that she went along with it because she felt she didn't have a choice against Kingpin and you can't really get out of that life? Or how much of that do you think it was her just really enjoying being a part of that life and having that money? Chris, I want to start with you.
I definitely think it's the latter. I think that come a certain point after paying off the debt, she's accustomed to the lifestyle and doesn't want to give it up. So she can hide behind this excuse like, oh, I'm trapped and we're like stuck in this crime situation. But look at where she lives, man, and like all the extravagance. There are multiple times over the course of the season where she mentions that she came from nothing. And I think she absolutely just does not want to let go of that lifestyle. So yeah, after a certain point, she's definitely like, look at all the money I'm making. Like, why would I stop doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Steve, what about you?
Definitely feel like she had a Walter White thing. She did it for, like, she was like, oh, I gotta go ahead and pay and make this money. But then after a while, she just was hooked on it. She loved the game, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. But once her daughter got involved, all of a sudden she wanted to stop. But for the most part, she was in there. She liked it. She enjoyed it. And that made sense. That's what we thought anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we were on point.
Vash?
For me, I honestly feel like she's a mix of both, because like she doesn't want to go back to where she started from nothing, but she also felt bad that the way at the end of the episode of how she told Kate, like, I did this all for you. Like, yeah, she still did it for Kate, for her not to be in trouble. And she also was put under this debt to Kingpin because of her ex-husband, of her late husband. So it's because of his fault that they got under this debt. So she tried to do this with the bishop security, do whatever favors he wanted because she had the access to it and the technology because of bishop security. But at the same time, she enjoyed this, like Chris said, but at the same time, she didn't want to be too far in because her daughter got involved. So that's where she said she crossed the line. So for her, like, it's a mix of both. She enjoyed the nice life, the nice dresses, the all red, you being part of this underworld, but at the same time you have some type of morality. Like, once she found out her daughter's involved, that's when she knew, like, cool, I need to back out this, I need to escape this type of underworld. So I love how it shows both sides. Like, yes, she ain't perfect, she ain't a great mother, and there's no good parent overall here in this episode, but it showed that she was a mix of both. Like, she had a conscience, not like most people in this later half that we're going to talk about in this episode.
I don't know, man. I think Jack is the best parent. So
Jack's awesome.
Oh, Jack was amazing. Like, I grew to love him. I'm like, oh fuck, so he's just a regular dude that just
Chris fucking called it, man.
Chris
called it.
I willed it into existence. It's what I wanted, and I put it out into the universe, and the universe said yes. And I'm like, so excited.
So I'm curious to see, like, is he gonna be still stepfather for Kate? Because, like, he technically had a hand in marriage with the mom.
I think so. He was calling her sweetie at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So I think there is like this weird dynamic between the two of them. So I don't think that he'll go away.
He's gonna be LARPing soon. So
that is true. And I still want to know more. Like, where did he learn his sword activity skills? Like, where did he learn his sword skills? Because we still never got this info. Like, yeah, he loves swords. He never worked a day in his life.
I mean, yeah, he's rich, so of course, hey, I want to learn. Same thing with Kate. Like, hey, I want to learn how to do this, and then your parent just gets you the best training possible with all of the money in the world. So it's like, you know,
true.
You know, so I really like that. I love the complexity of Eleanor's character, because I mean, she still killed Armand based on Kingpin's orders, and her own fiance, she let him take the fall for a shell company that belongs to the mob. Like, that still takes kind of a fucked up mindset to do. You know what I mean? So I love the complexity of her character, and I love the way, you know, that why am I blanking on her name right now? Vera Farmiga is playing the character, so really like that. So, and then we completely cut to Kate and Clint looking at the video, and Kate's just in pure shock. I mean, of course, it's her mom, right? Like, she talks about her mom doesn't even jaywalk. She's completely surprised by this, to find out that her mom is working with the Kingpin. Like, that's a lot, right? And Clint has a later conversation with her talking about, you know, sometimes heroes have to make really tough decisions, and we already knew what that meant, right? So that was really powerful to me.
I do want to add also that I love how they changed his color scheme of his coats, of his outfit, and two, the cane. They added the cane for his character from the comics. And for people that need to understand, Kingpin doesn't need the cane. He just walks like a pin, because he uses it as a weapon. So he doesn't need the cane. He's not crippled. He could walk like a regular dude. He just uses the cane as a weapon. and also sometimes in some comic runs he carries the cane because sometimes he has chips or memory stuff that he needs it because he don't trust nobody else other than him. So that's another reason why he carried it. So I just love that they added the cane for his character finally in the MCU. So that's fucking dope as hell.
And
Yeah,
he's such a good
great
actor,
addition.
man. Like he fell back into that role like
He
so
did
well.
so well.
And when Eleanor leaves and you can just see that twitch in his face, it's like, oh man,
His face
Kingpin's
was
going
twitching
off,
the
bro.
The entire conversation, his face was twitching. I
He's
was
like,
shoot.
he like, oh, this bitch wants to leave. I don't like this. We
Dude,
need to
I
get
love
rid of her.
I love the cadence that Vincent D'Onofrio brings to the way Wilson Fisk speaks,
Right.
because he speaks slowly and with purpose and with intention. And when he's speaking, you better fucking listen to him or he will kill you.
He will crush your skull.
There's always the way he plays him, there's always this wonderful layer of anger just bubbling right below the surface. And I couldn't be happier that they brought him back into the MCU to play Kingpin. He's just a perfect fit for that character.
And plus, to add to that, I love him like in real life because he also is a very shy person. For anybody I've seen his interviews or anybody seen him in person, he's a shy person, and plus he also stutters. So for anybody that wants for anybody wants to look him up, he's a good person to have as a role model. Like he acts, but he also embraces that he's shy. Like he knows that, but he is on screen as Kingpin and he fucking scares people. And to know that outside of that character, he's a shy ass person, he's the sweetest person that you ever meet. So I just love that type of dynamic of his character, of who he is in real life, and then who he is in as his character.
Yeah.
He seems like a nice guy.
Really good actor. I really like him. I think we talked about it pre-show. I think he's a variant of the Netflix Kingpin.
I'm on the fence, man, because it could be they could be just blending the continuities, but I don't think so. At the same time, I do think that they're very loosely based on that, but you know, these variants like took different decisions in 616. That's what I think, but we'll see how it goes. You know,
like we talked about last week. I think they're like not willing to openly state anything specifically. They're really just gonna like pick and choose what they liked from the Netflix show,
right,
and bring it in and just like never mention it at all.
I wonder when they brought Kingpin and his character back, I wonder if they had to watch the show or the writers had to watch it, or if the actual writers from the Netflix show to know what they did so they could blend, like James said and Chris said, where they could blend the character within this MCU. So I'm curious to see how they did it behind the scenes. Like I can't wait to see.
Doubt that. It's just like D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox are just like so like locked in.
They just really love those characters.
Yeah, so it's like they were written into, you know, whatever stories, and it's just how they play them. You know what I mean? Like they're just so locked in. So I love that.
This makes me can't wait like 3 months or 5 months from now when the Marvel assemble. It's like the version behind the scenes of how they filmed No Way Home and Hawkeye. I love Loki and the other ones, but I never got this excited to see the behind the scenes for these two films. So I can't wait the next 6 months or so to actually see how these two films were made and show was actually done, because I can't wait to see the behind the scenes, like where here's Vincent and then him talking about his role as Kingpin and everything. So I can't wait to see that, because this would be very interesting if he has any words.
I wonder if they're going to drop the assembled episode next week, the same day as Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah,
they always drop the assembled the week after the show ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. Hawkeye might be next week. No Way Home will be a couple months later. So you're right.
If we even get that, because there's still like legal issues with having the Spider-Man content on Disney Plus for the time being. So I don't know if we're going to get an assembled for No Way Home. We might have to wait for the Blu-ray release.
Yeah,
I hope so.
As long as we get something. But this next sequence is like one of my favorite sequences in the whole episode. Kate's pretty much telling Clint, like, you know, like, this is my mess to clean up. And then, like, just telling him, like, go home, you can still make it in time for Christmas. And Clint's like, no, you're my partner. Your mess is my mess. And he's not going anywhere until it's finished. Bro, that hit me so hard. And then when I saw some people on Twitter like, oh, that was so cringe. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, look at everything they've been through throughout the first season so far. Even after he told Kate to go home, don't come back, she still came back and saved his life. She stuck around. Like, I loved everything about that scene. Like, what about you guys?
And he didn't really even mean what he was saying in that episode when he was trying to get her to leave. He just knew that by hurting her feelings, she would leave, you know? So I love this kind of like genuine openness that their relationship has in the finale here, where they're finally being transparent with one another and saying exactly how they feel about the other person. You know, Clint acknowledging her as a talented protege and a partner just makes my heart swell. It's great. Their relationship is so beautiful, and we'll talk more about, you know, other moments in this episode that they have. But I really love the Clint Kate Bishop dynamic in this series.
And plus, I wonder if Hawkeye feels that he's proud of himself, that knowing his other friends in the Avengers had little proteges, you know, Cap with Sam and with Bucky and with Iron Man and his wife and, you know, Jarvis and Technical Ultron. Like, him and other people had their own type of protege. So I feel like, I wonder if Hawkeye was proud saying that you're my partner. So like, I wonder if he is also proud of saying that he has somebody else other than not having Natasha no more. Like, I felt like that was so hard of him to actually say that out loud, because he also smiled while saying like, hey, you're my partner, because I felt like he finally could say that without having some type of PTSD no more as well.
I'm sure.
Steve?
Yeah. I enjoyed that whole the whole conversation, just because you watched it build up. You watched him like basically go from she's annoying, you know what I'm saying, and she was a super fan. It felt like me on Careful for Spoilers. Super fan, loved it, and loved everything that was going on, and then finally he was like, "We're partners," and JV was like, "You guys, you should be on Careful for Spoilers," and I was like, "What?" So it hit home for me.
Appreciate you, bro.
That's
I
awesome.
liked it. And it just was cool, like the fact that like that he finally accepted it, and he was like, you know what I'm saying, he just basically brought her in and was like, I'm not going home, you've done all this stuff for me, who would I be to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna let you have it, you know what I'm saying, I am Hawkeye, someone you admire, I am an Avenger, but who would I be to just like walk away, you know what I'm saying, when you're in trouble. So that made sense. And anytime, you know, somebody has emotions or something like that, people say it's cringe. I don't understand. Everybody just wants action.
They can't get in touch with themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
they just
don't want
action.
to acknowledge their tender side.
Yeah, you want action and no dialogue. That's what people want for some reason.
And like this next sequence, we get Kingpin, Kazi, and Maya. Love this sequence a lot because the actress that plays Maya does such a good job with just her facial expressions, like just being in the same room as the man that called the hit on her father, and then the other man that grew up with her that betrayed her and her father, trying to keep her cool, just talking about, you know what, I'm sorry. This only happened because you know what my father means to me, got a little bit out of control. I need to take a couple of days off. So Chris, I want to start with you. Like, what did you think about this exchange between Maya, Kazi, and Kingpin? And I love that Vincent D'Onofrio obviously learned a little bit of ASL in order to communicate with Maya in this episode. I love that everyone took the time to do that, to properly communicate with the character. So what do you think?
This is a great scene. And like you said, the fact that she's playing it so cool, it just speaks to her not big business acumen, but like she can play the game, you know, like she knows how she needs to act in front of him at this moment so he doesn't kill her, and so she can like get a little leeway to do some more investigation, you know. But the two things that I really took out of this scene were that Wilson Fisk has an unhealthy relationship with every single woman close to him in his life. It's such like a possessive, you know, at the end of the scene where he like grabs her and has her turn around, and then he like signs I love you to her and she says it back. Like, it just reminds me. And the relationship with Vanessa is a little different, you know. Vanessa is also a powerhouse and admires Wilson Fisk, you know, so they have a different type of relationship, but it's so creepy and possessive, the relationship between him and Maya. And in terms of ASL, I'm sure he's fluent. You know, like I doubt that he actually needs Kazi to translate for him, because like he knows so many different languages, right? Like he uses language as a means to like
It's a tool, like power.
exactly. Like if somebody's going to think that he doesn't know how to speak their language, like if she were to sign something to Kazi and she thought like Kazi wouldn't translate directly what she was saying, right? He would be able to understand what she was saying without her knowing. I guarantee that he's fluent. So the whole Kazi
Facts.
being an interpreter type of thing has to be like a power play on his part as well. But it really is a cool scene just watching the three of them interact with one another. And I'm interested to see how it pans out in the Echo show.
Oh yeah. Steve, what about you?
I definitely think that was like a facade, like him pretending that he doesn't know, just in case you decide to say something slick and he not know it. You know what I'm saying? He can do something crazy to you. But because when did she lose her hearing? She's always been
6.
I think it was from birth, right?
Yeah,
Birth.
I'm pretty sure it was from birth.
and
He's
he's
from
her,
birth, right?
he's
Okay.
our uncle, so I'm sure he knows ASL. He has to. He's been in her life for, we saw a flashback of her as a kid.
Good
so
point.
He has
Yeah.
to go ASL. So yeah, him doing that as a translator, that's just one of those things, in a sense, like a manipulation thing. Like, oh, I don't understand, I need him here, type thing or whatever, for her to feel softer. You know what I'm saying, around him and things like that, for her not to know what he actually is and what he's actually doing behind the scenes. So I definitely think that's a facade that he's pulling.
For me, I feel like it was just now I know if you ever work for Kingpin and he asks for days off, just know that he's just about to kill you. That he's like, oh, you want days off? From did that work? You're dead. I'm like, damn. Now I know that I should
Now he can have a lot of time off.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of time
Right.
off. You'd be dead. I'm like,
What
damn,
did
I
he
do
say
that.
to her? Oh my god, I can't remember exactly what the line was, but he was like that's agreeable or that's understandable or some. I can't remember exactly what he said when she.
Yeah,
asked
I
for
think
time
he
off.
says that's understandable or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, like something along those lines. But it's just that conversation. It shows that she has respect for him, but he knows that he lost that respect from her, and he knows that something's going on because he felt like my assumption that he knows she usually enters different or she acts different, so he knew that something was off. That's why he knew that she gotta go. So I just love that we read those type of body language with the camera. I just love that very much, and he just acted it so well as the uncle, like knowing that, like, hey, Maya, I still love you, I still care you.
He
take your
doesn't want to,
vacation.
but he has to, in his mind anyway.
Yeah, like
And somehow that makes sense in his mind, even though like you don't
Business.
have
I mean,
to-
she knows too much. I mean, he's been, like you said, Vash, like she's been around like her whole life, right? Like she knows she's been in the business. Her dad was in the business. Like he led the tracksuits and then she led the tracksuits. She knows way too much about the operation, so he kind of has to kill her, as much as he loves her. It's really sad. But just listening to Kingpin just say the word Avenger was just so awesome. Like he's talking to Kazi. He's like, an Avenger
that's
is
true.
looking into our business. Eleanor
You're
wants
right.
to quit like she's working at Goldman Sachs. Like
Dude,
you said,
that
Chris, the
line had me
cadence.
dying.
Yeah.
I both times I watched the episode, I was laughing out loud at that line. I don't know why I think it's so funny, but it's hilarious.
It's the way he says it too.
Yeah.
You're like Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, it's like so well. Like I just feel like you put the if in the sack part. So I'm like,
Yeah.
if you guys heard, I saw the episode for a second to like half. So just seeing those scenes of him just getting mad and just saying no more of the if, I was like, he looks like he's happy playing him again, which I'm not sure if it's a good thing because he looks like he's having too much fun with it, but it's just so great of it.
That is something that I do love. I love that, how excited he is to play that character. I almost said something else, but how excited he is to play that character. Like he jumped right back in the fold and was like, yeah, I'm back here. And I love that. Like he's not half stepping now that he's back with Marvel and stuff like that. It's like, I deserve to be here. It felt right.
Yeah, I mean, they love playing those characters, and for good reason. They're amazing. There's no one else that could do these roles. So it's like, for Kevin Feige to make sure that he got these specific people, like, it really means a lot to me and to a lot to the fans. So let's move on to the scene with Clint and Kate on the train. Clint's talking about we're gonna need a ton of gear and a shit ton of dangerous trick arrows. And I love this sequence of them just making all of these trick arrows together. And shout out to Chris for getting all of these screenshots, by the way. But we noticed that we see a red Pim arrow, and we know that's a shrinking arrow. We see a magnet arrow, flash bombs, freezing arrows, airbag arrow, the sonic arrow, icebreaker arrows. There's so many different arrows here, and it was so cool to just watch them use it in the third act fight, and I can't wait to talk about that.
I still need to know, did the owl eat the tracksuit, or are they gonna
dead, bro?
Oh, very dead. I can't wait to talk about that, because I have some things to say about that fight in general. I'm like, Hawkeye,
morally
like, you're
questionable,
still,
to say the least.
Yeah, you're still an Avenger, bro. Like, this is still like wrong. Like,
I have so many comments about this too, but I just because like, James brought
this guy definitely lost his leg. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just brought up because James brought up the shrink ray, so I just wanted to talk about that because I still have so many questions. Like that, literally, like you know, Kingpin stuff and everything. But that what really got me questioning. Like, oh, they just look at it and they're like, oh, you know, pop up again, and then the owl literally just grab it. I'm like, is nobody gonna kill the owl? Like the owl literally just grabbing a whole truck of people in there. You actually gonna let the owl kill humans? But that's one thing I asked myself. Like, okay,
I know we're like really skipping ahead, but considering that we're talking about that moment,
yeah,
there's a scene right after the owl flies off with the shrunken truck where Hawkeye pulls another arrow back, and you're like, oh great, he's gonna shoot the owl to get the truck back, but then he turns around and blows up more people.
Yeah,
so a little sadistic in this finale.
It's like, argument could be made. They're just really, really terrible people who have killed people. You know, they were driving the truck really recklessly. They could have ran over some people potentially. So they got what they deserved, one could say.
You know, it's so hard with the tracksuit. Like, yeah, they're like involved in crime, and I'm sure they've murdered people, but like they're so dumb.
Yeah,
and incompetent. I just feel bad for them.
That was definitely the owl from Legends of the Guardian.
Oh my god! Yeah, connection. But Mercenary, I don't think he went out of business because Kingpin has other organizations, and probably he told people to take some time off as well. So like, hey, we might need some people, so you take your day off here, enjoy the holidays. You might not be dead, so just stay here because I'm gonna need another good 100 people, you know, for to trust a bro. So most
there
likely
were a lot of tracksuits.
For real.
Yeah, there's
like, a lot of.
There's a lot of extras, or technically a lot of background people, and I can't imagine how they probably filmed that at nighttime, like from 8 to 2 in the morning, like 5 days, 2 weeks straight, a month straight. But it was great. But back to the trick hour scene. That was beautiful of how Kate and